Not only should kids go back to school this fall, they should be in class. That from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Officials recommending schools reopen with the goal of having students physically present. Steve Harrigan is live with more on this important story. Steve?
Dana, the Academy making a strong case that students should physically be in school this fall. They say if they're not physically in classes, in the schoolrooms, they risk social isolation, they risk depression, and they risk food security. 28 states have issued guidance for a return to school this fall, but there's a lot of uncertainty in that guidance. Texas says students will be safe and they will be in classrooms. New Jersey says there will be in-person instruction in some capacity. And Washington says students and all staff will be wearing masks. Here's what Governor Cuomo had to say from New York.
Children have missed schools. Children have missed the interaction with other children. That's part of the socialization process. We're preparing to open schools. We have plans to open schools. But look, Chuck, I'll be honest with you, it's 2 months away. Anything can happen in 2 months.
The CDC has also issued guidance beyond masks and hygiene. They say cafeterias should be closed and there should be no large gatherings. That means no assemblies or major sporting events. Dana, back to you.
All right, Steve Harrigan, thank you. Let's bring in Dr. Zaragoza, president of American Academy of Pediatrics. Doctor, thank you so much for being with us. Let me play for you some sound from Governor Murphy of New Jersey talking about this very thing.
Our public schools will be open for in-person instruction and operations in some capacity, with the health of students, their families, and educators being the top priority.
Dr. Goza, tell me how you came to your decision and your recommendations, and how hungry are local officials to have something from you all to give them some guidance on what they should be doing in just 8 weeks from now?
After weighing what we know about children and the coronavirus, we really strongly advocate that the goal should be to have students physically present in the school. Children learn more in school than just reading, writing, and arithmetic. You talked about it earlier, social and emotional skills, healthy meals, exercise, mental health support, and other things that just cannot be provided online. But we do know that health officials and school officials and parents are going to have to be able to be nimble and flexible and ready to switch gears based on what their community's prevalence of COVID-19 is, because we know that we're seeing some increases here in the South.
So I know that I think you're in Georgia, right? When
Correct.
the school districts are making these decisions, how are they to figure out what the asymptomatic situation is, right? So we know that children aren't affected, but the concern, as I understand it, has been that asymptomatic carriers would take it home to older people, perhaps grandparents or those more vulnerable in the home.
So based on the evidence we know right now, COVID-19 appears to behave differently in children and adolescents compared to other adults and compared to other respiratory viruses like flu. They seem to have more asymptomatic or less severe disease, and children are less likely to become infected and to spread the infection. And so that's really, with the knowledge of that right now, of what we think is right, that's where our recommendations come from.
The other thing that I think has happened, and I read a great column by Jason Gay of the Wall Street Journal, who has young kids, and he also has an educator in his life. He said that the internet has just not been a good way to interact with children. Like for the first 2 weeks, it was novel, but that it is not going to be the way that we educate children in America.
Some children do really well with that type of education, but some children really need to be in the classroom. It really, beyond supporting educational development of children and adolescents, schools play a critical role in addressing racial and social inequities. We have parents who don't have access to internet. They have to work. Their children are in daycare during the day. They have to come home and try to do the schooling in the evenings. Children who rely on school lunches. So those are all very important things about why schools really need to be open. That social isolation that can lead teens and adolescents to become depressed and anxious and even suicidal ideation. So those are all good reasons why we feel like the schools should be trying to open up.
Well, I'm sure that is music to a lot of ears, especially the parents who are hoping their kids are able to go back to school. Dr. Zaragoza, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.